we need to have a very serious conversation about Black Bolt and White Flare, and I'm going to need your guys' help. Hear me out real quick, and then let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. The question I pose is, Black Bolt and White Flare, is this black and white set the greatest Pokemon card set to ever be released? Now, before you answer, let's just talk it out and look at it a little bit logically and just do a little bit of analyzing here. So while technically I am acknowledging that these are two completely different sets, right? Black Bolt and White Flare are their own sets. However, for the sake of just this topic and the argument, I think people are going to lump them together and they're going to kind of be considered one set. So while technically they are two, let's just, for the sake of this, assume that they are one set. They're being released at the same time, right? And it's kind of like when the games come out. I do like that they did that with each set having unique Pokemon, just like the games. That's the whole thing between that they've done since the very beginning, with Red and Blue having different Pokemon exclusive to different versions. Now, the reason that I bring this up is because when you start to look at it on paper, it really starts to seem like this really could be the greatest set of all time. Now, you're taking a lot of what we've seen from the best sets of recent times and combining them into one set. Whether you put your feelings aside about how you feel about Gen 5, right? Because you can look at 151, obviously featured all 151 original Pokemon. Now that's what we're seeing here in Gen 5, all 156. Okay, so you're taking that. Obviously, Gen 1 has the nostalgia for us older collectors. So, that tends to win out when it comes to that. And what they did with the Japanese 151 is they introduced Pokeball and Master Ball reverses. Now we're getting that in this set as well. So not only are we getting all of the Pokemon from Gen 5, we're getting Pokeball reverses, we're getting Master Ball reverses, and we're getting a brand new rarity, the black and white, the BWR rarity, right? So introducing a new rarity, and there's more art rares or illustration rares than ever before. Now, when it comes to special art rares or special illustration rares, there's actually less in these sets than we've seen from, for example, Prismatic Evolutions definitely has more. They went more with the art rares and illustration rares and less special illustration rares when it comes to this set comparatively to that. So you look at Prismatic Evolutions and they're doing the same thing there. You're getting the Pokeballs, the Master Balls, but you're also getting the illustration rares and special illustration rares that we didn't get in Prismatic. So they're taking the best of everything and combining it into one set. Also, it seems like the artwork is top tier. It's like going to be over 800 cards total if you're master setting both of them together. So like the biggest set we've ever gotten. The only thing it's really lacking on is the number of special illustration rares. But the number of regular illustration rares obviously blows everything out of the water. So just with that little bit of information, which actually is a lot to kind of take in when you start to think about it, it's a little overwhelming. And when you start to look at the cards, it's very overwhelming. And we are going to take a deeper look at some stuff here in a second. But let me know in the comments, do you guys believe that this is the best set of all time? Once again, under the caveat that you're combining the two sets into one. I think objectively, you kind of have to look at it on paper, and it kind of looks like it's definitely the best set of all time. And once again, I have a big Gen 1 bias. Like, I really, really like 151 because obviously that appeals to me. That's what I played and watched, and everything growing up was, 151, right? So obviously this set doesn't have the nostalgia factor for me. But if you take that nostalgia aspect out and you kind of zoom out and look back at it from an objective standpoint, it definitely seems like this is the craziest set overall. But definitely the craziest. I'd like to get your guys' opinion and kind of just get this conversation started because it's just so wild. Also, the timing of this, when this set is coming out, obviously they've been planning this for a long time, right? They plan the sets out, and just the fact that it's coming out, like, I wouldn't say in the peak of this Pokemon bull market and craziness, because things definitely have calmed down a little, but things are still crazy, right? On top of that, you have bots and scalpers and everything Although some of that seems like it's been cooling off, maybe a little. Just in the craziness of the market to release a set like this is absolutely wild. But let's jump into, we do have some news about the set that I wanted to talk about as we kind of think about these thoughts a little bit more. They did just recently announce in Japan that they're already printing more of this set. And it seems like from the Japanese side, if you haven't been following it, we've touched on it on the channel a few times. They print pretty quickly when it comes to Japan, when it comes to reprints. But they've announced that they're currently printing more Black Bolt and White Flare. These will be coming out in mid-July to August. So they're already printing more. They'll have more printed by the time we get our English set. They'll have printed more on the Japanese side. Now, boxes currently aren't really that expensive when it comes to the Japanese side. And I think that's mostly due because it's split into two sets, right? So if you look at them together, then obviously it's very expensive. But individually, it's actually cheaper than what we've seen with the last few sets that have come out, at least with the initial run, right, of Japanese booster boxes. On the Japanese side, the company states that regardless of whether they make public announcements, they're always working to print more of the products that their customers want and are continuously strengthening their production. And we did get, this is a little bit older news, but I do think it's worth bringing up. They did, as Poke Beach posted in March, they printed new stock of older sets without any public announcements, which was back here. This was March 19th. You can see they printed Night Wanderer, Stellar Miracle, Trastal Festival, and Battle Partners. So they already printed that. That was back in March. And then in April, they printed Paradise Dragona and Supercharged Breaker. So on the Japanese side, they're not afraid to print more, and they get it done pretty quickly. It's not like the English side that takes 6 months to see any product. They do it very quickly on the Japanese side. So more black and white should be coming out if you're wanting to pick up Japanese boxes. Just keep in mind that the price should be coming down on those around the time that they'll be getting more once the English set kind of comes out in July. Now, real quickly, this is kind of what they're selling for on the secondary market here in the US. Obviously, you can see right here, there's a few things to note when it comes to these Japanese boxes. There's always the shrink wrap and the no shrink wrap, and then there's different versions of the booster box. This is actually the deluxe booster box you can see right here, where it has bigger packs and a guaranteed art rare per pack versus the regular booster box style. Here you can see, so there is a difference here, but this is what I've been seeing fairly common, is the set of two for around $170 to $180, which is, $85 to $90 per box. Definitely expensive when it comes to Japanese, but not really for the current market. If you're not familiar, the MSRP on a Japanese booster box is right around $38 US MSRP, give or take. So definitely resellers are definitely making some money here, but you can see like even right here, both boxes with shrink 170. You can see same thing right here, 180. So shrink or no shrink is going to depend a little bit on the price. No shrink will obviously be cheaper. So if you're planning on ripping the boxes, then maybe go the no shrink route if you're willing to risk that. Keep in mind on eBay, you gotta watch out for seller feedback and stuff like that. So buy from a trusted seller, okay? But that's what we're seeing, at least currently on the Japanese side. Fairly affordable, but it is a double set release, and even though we were talking about it as one. Now, some of the cards out the gate, obviously it's still very early, and these prices most likely are going to come down, but this is what we're seeing out the gate when it comes to prices. And we're just going to talk about a few of the cards because there's just so many in this set. But the Zekrom SAR, this is number 169, right around $200 currently. And this is, an absolute stunner of a card. You can see they had a pair here of the two for $410, but at or just under $200. Here you can see another pair at $408, and then individually just under $200. This one sold for $220, right? So you can get a little bit of an idea of what they're selling for. Once again, there's not that many SARs per, I believe it's 7 per set, so 14 total. And if that follows the pull rates on the English side, these actually would be fairly easy to pull. So we'll have to see what they do with that, and that will definitely affect the price if they're a little easier to pull on the English side, but we don't know any of that yet. So that is all still to be determined, right? Because you have your how difficult it is to pull an SAR or SIR in English, which lately has been about like 1 out of 90 packs. And then you have to multiply that by the number of special illustration rares to get roughly the difficulty. So in theory, if they follow what they've been doing, they would be easier to pull. And the illustration rares would be more difficult just due to the number. So that's a very fascinating thing that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. And then the Reshiram number 168, same thing. This one's a little bit over 218, 218. Another absolutely stunning card. But this is what we've been seeing for last solds as far as that goes. And then the new rarities, right? That's the other thing that we mentioned. This does introduce a new rarity. I haven't really been able to pinpoint just how difficult this card is to pull, or these two cards rather. And it will be very, very interesting, the pull rates for these cards in English, because traditionally the English cards are more expensive. That's just what we've seen across the board. But we're seeing right now for the pair or an individual card in the $300 range, you can see a pair here selling for in the 800s. So this would be $400 per card. This seems a little bit high comparatively. So in the $300 range for the new BWR rarity. So that's also something that I do think is very cool. Not only did it introduce a new rarity, but it must be much more difficult to pull in Japanese. I'm assuming it's going to be very difficult to pull in English. We could only assume. So that is something that we'll have to wait to really see how it translates to the English side. So just to give you guys a little bit more perspective, and then we'll go over this. We went over all of these cards recently, so we're not going to take time to look at every single one in depth. But we do have better photos now. We don't have those pictures of somebody opening them with their finger in the way. So here's the BWR rarities in a bigger, nicer image. We've seen these ones before, but that's what we're looking at as far as these go. This one is a promo. And when you start to, this is the other thing where I do think it helps to visualize when it comes to looking at the set. So just keep in mind all the other sets that we've had released ever. And then as we start to scroll through this, right, just look at the sheer volume of cards, of illustration rares and special illustration rares. And it just starts to become overwhelming at a certain point where there's just so many. So this is definitely, at least, even if you're not really a big fan, like I said, of Gen 5, it's going to be fun to open because there's so many pulls that you can have. It's absolutely crazy. So that's when, like, once again, you start to look at it, even if you go, no, not for me, not for me. But when you start to look at it, it doesn't have to be for you necessarily to mean it's one of the greatest sets ever. And I could understand, and we'll take a look at this one real quick, just in a zoomed in image, just because this is definitely one of my favorites. The Zekrom is stunning. Also, this is a really nice looking trainer card, by the way. Art style, really like this, that one from N. So that's just Black Bolt. Now we're on White Flare, right? So you can see just how many, the sheer volume of cards. This Verzion's really nice, by the way. So yeah, it's just, it's absolutely overwhelming and really fascinating, the sheer volume. So that's why I kind of, if somebody was to make the argument that this is the greatest set ever, I definitely might have to agree. And that's kind of why I wanted to kind of talk this through just like a little bit more and kind of like lay forth the evidence of just like, look how long we've been scrolling through these. So, yeah, obviously I wish they did this with 151. I could only hope that they do this with Gen 2. If they do this with Gen 2 or even Gen 3, but Gen 2, take a look at the restroom here. I think that the market is going to just absolutely lose it. Also, the Hydreigon is super stunning as well. So many great arts, right? And then you ended off with the restroom here. So that's what we've seen. And like I mentioned earlier, just to bring it back one more time, we do have Pokeballs, Pokeball reverses, Master Ball reverses. Okay. So on top of all of that, okay, so that is just absolutely insane. So it's a crazy, crazy, crazy set. And like I said, we don't know how this is all going to affect the English side. We don't know the pull rates. We do know that recently, I think it was the other few days ago, I believe it was at like midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, somewhere around there. I think Target did a bunch of drops as far as other product, like the binder collections and other black and white stuff pre-orders. So we should be seeing that stuff kind of start to roll out even more as we get closer. Now, obviously, we just had Destin Rivals come out, right? Destin Rivals just came out, and we're already talking about the next set, but that's just kind of how it works, right? We're the news cycle, it keeps rolling with Pokemon, and it goes from the Japanese to the English and just blah, 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 blah. And anyways, so I do apologize if this was a bit more of a rambly video, but I did think it's an important topic worth talking about that I don't really see it being talked about too much in terms of the greatest set of all time. Now, I think maybe we need to let a little bit more time pass and just kind of see how things are. So I'm not going to come out and necessarily say 100% the greatest set of all time, but it's definitely in the conversation as of this release date. Like as of this point in time, as of this recording and it being out in Japan, I definitely think it's in the conversation. But and if you start to ignore nostalgia and look and truly look at it at one set, it's a very, very strong argument. But nostalgia is a hard thing to put behind, I do think. So for me as well. So like I said, that's why I kind of wanted this to be a little bit of a conversation and get a lot of comments going and get your guys' opinions on it. And it's kind of just like the more I talk it out and kind of look at things. So I'm very visual too. So that's why I like scrolling through the cards again, just getting a little bit of look at them and talking it out. Even if it's just me talking to the camera, I think it's very important for me and for you guys just to get a grip on this because it's a lot to take in. So I think I'm going to end my rambles there because I do think that was a lot of talking, a little bit different style of video, but very relevant, very important topic. So that's all I have for you guys in this one. So make sure you guys leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Enter the giveaway, should be popping up here. If you guys want to enter, as we slowly creep forward to 20K, we're doing a massive giveaway. You have to be subscribed to the channel, watch that video, tells you how to enter. So once we hit 20K, we'll announce all the winners. So we're slowly getting closer and closer to that. But yeah, that's all I have for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.